Okay, so we're here in Manchester. Obviously, Andy Burnham's now gone off to London to become the PM, and we're here to ask people, what do they think Andy Burnham's legacy in Manchester is, and what do they think he's going to do as PM? Let's go and talk to some people and find out.
No matter where I go, London, Paris, Mexico, anywhere on earth, they know me place of birth. I met a girl from London when she sat on Blackpool Pier. She said, could tell, I'm a lad for Lancashire.
So all we are here in Manchester is obviously Andy Burnham, potentially the next Prime Minister. Yeah. What do you think Andy Burnham's legacy in Manchester is?
I think he was very well liked by people, and that's why he won in Makerfield. But I do think that he's probably good for the Labour Party, but he's like their last chance.
Yeah.
I think locally he's very well liked.
Yeah.
But the Labour Party more broadly, I feel like they've probably, they've got a chance, but I mean they probably will win. But I'm actually not too sure who the candidates are.
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of obviously the Manchester Mayor election, that you mentioned, Andy Burnham was very popular, and it's one of the things that probably drove him through in Makerfield where he won his local election. Yeah. So, what do you think the main things are that have made Andy Burnham popular in Manchester and Greater Manchester?
To be honest, I think when with politics, especially something like a mayor, it comes down to personality more than it probably should a lot of the time. That's why people liked Boris Johnson, even like some people you could say for Trump as well, and Farage to an extent. But in terms of policies, I think in terms of like sort of, the picture that he paints, it's like he's a man of the people. And then he did do a lot of good in terms of transport, things like that.
No, I think the transport's one of the big ones. Obviously, it's very obvious. Everything's painted bright yellow, but what he's done with the bus network, that's one of the big things.
I think when it comes, if you compare him to someone like Starmer, who's like basically a robot or a lizard with no personality,
with no soul.
It does actually come down to personality, but more than it probably should for most normal people.
And do you think, obviously, if Andy Burnham goes in, he's going to face the same problems that Keir Starmer has? Do you think his personality, at the very least, will carry him through, or do you think he'll struggle like Keir Starmer has?
I think he'll struggle. It's just a matter of time. Personality can get you in, but it might not get you that far. Because he's like steering a sinking ship, basically.
I agree. And what do you think is probably the main problem, or the main thing that he's going to have to try and fix in order to try and turn that popularity of the Labour Party around?
I think the problem with the Labour Party is that it's forgotten where it's come from, and that's what he was appealing to with the people of Makerfield, of Wigan. And especially when it comes to like white working class people, who the Labour Party was originally for, and then you've got all these other groups that the Labour Party have tried to appeal to, and obviously that you can't blame them for that. It makes sense to do that, but there's a lot of different groups that you can't please everyone, basically. So I think to basically remember where he's come from and things like that, and then make sure that those sorts of people don't feel that they're forgotten about.
No. Well, that's it. I mean, we think that Andy Burnham will be the first Northern Labour leader for about at least 3 decades, if not longer. And I think you're right, in terms of the narrative about recapturing the soul of the Labour Party for that working class, which traditionally, let's be fair, was the northern part of England, parts of Wales, and there's that. Do you think the fact that Andy Burnham's northern and will come in will have some change on the perceptions of the Labour Party amongst people here and in around the other parts of the northwest?
definitely. I think in recent years, the Labour Party been sort of taken over by, from the perspective of like northern working class people. It's just been sort of taken over by southern middle class or even upper class lawyer types like Keir Starmer, and now he's if Andy Burnham's coming in, then he's sort of he's people will sort of see themselves in him in a way.
I think that's it, and like you said, in terms of sort of the personality politics, that's probably going to make a big difference. But do you think obviously Andy Burnham's big challenges will come from Reform on the right and Greens on the left? Do you think he can assuage both of those, or do you think in 2029 we're potentially looking at a different picture again?
No, I think because the Labour Party have tried to do their best to appeal to Muslims and those sorts of groups, but I think they're probably going to ditch the Labour Party and go over to Greens or Independent now, and then I think with white working class people, obviously a lot of them, Reform was popular with a lot of them, but maybe he can try and recapture that sort of demographic.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And I think in terms of what we saw in Makerfield, which they sort of expected, it's a predominantly white working class area, voted for Brexit. I think there was an expectation that Reform would probably do quite well.
Yeah.
Appreciate they did okay. But I think actually they were probably quite shocked by the fact that Andy Burnham was so popular that he took away a lot of that momentum from them. Yeah. So, do you think that that's potentially something that could be repeated elsewhere, especially if we see the Greens and the Lib Dems get behind a Labour candidate just to keep Reform out?
Yeah, like a coalition, you mean?
Effectively, or just the sort of tactical voting that you'll see going on in the next election, because I think a lot of the parties will see their voters tactically vote potentially behind another candidate just to try and keep out the person that they don't like. So whether that's, as we had in Makerfield, the sort of split the vote argument between Restore and Reform, or whether it's a lot of people who support either the Green Party getting behind a Labour candidate to keep Reform out, or vice versa in certain areas.
I think when it comes to Makerfield specifically, it's like I don't think that can be applied to the whole of Greater Manchester, because it's a very specific place, like, probably, what is it, like over 90 something percent white. And his campaign there was like, although he is a left-wing Labour politician, it was quite traditional in a lot of ways and appealed to the sort of things that Reform probably should have appealed to. Yeah. But I think when it comes to Greater Manchester more broadly, you've got like all these different demographics and other issues going on where I think those other parties, Greens, Lib Dems, and Reform in some areas, will do a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Because obviously, mayoral elections coming up. Do you think that which of the parties do you think actually has the best chance at the moment? I appreciate still early days. Not all of them have announced who's going to be running. But based upon sort of general sentiment and what you think people feel like, what do you think the options are?
I think when it comes to the mayoral election, if it was a general election for the whole country, then I'd say Reform probably have a good chance. But Greater Manchester, I'd say Labour are still going to win. Yeah. It may not be a massive majority like they got in Makerfield, but they're still probably going to win. If whoever replaces Burnham can kind of do what he did. But I do think that other parties will do a lot better. I think we might get, in some areas, someone like Reform getting a good chunk of the vote, but more than people might expect, but still not quite enough. And then I think Greens, you've got uni students, you've got like 3 different unis and those sorts of people, where the Greens will probably do very well in certain areas as well.
Well, that's it, because in the local elections we saw a lot of areas around, especially around the sort of central Manchester band, a lot of them flipped Green.
Yeah, so where I lived in like central Manchester area, that was Green in the local election. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I suppose last question: what do you think's one big issue that we're not really talking about enough?
One big issue. Good question. Do you mean just like
Anything at all? What's one thing that people are just ignoring that they should be talking about?
I think the welfare state benefits. I think it's out of control how much money people get for not working, and I think someone like on the left could make a left-wing argument for it, where you know, as long as you're working, doesn't matter if you're earning like barely anything or a lot, as long as you're working and trying, then you should be rewarded for that more so than someone who's not. I know sometimes there's reasons that people don't.
No.
That's why I think one reform policy that I quite liked was raising the income tax threshold from 12,500 to 20,000 a year, because it means anyone who's actually trying, no matter how little or how much you earn, will have more money in your pocket. So that's what I think, because I think it's out of control at the moment, the way that you can get if you answer the questions right on a survey, you can get, you know, like $2,000 or more a month in benefits.
And you're right, and I think one of the big problems is beating that incentive gap between being on benefits and getting into work. And you're right, I very much agree that the policies about increasing income tax thresholds is going to be a big one, because like I said, that $8,000 thing, when you take your 20% off it, you're going to be talking just shy of $2,000 a year, which makes a big difference to whether you're on the breadline and you just need that extra $2,000 to live, or if you're working hard and you want that $2,000 to go on a nice holiday a year and just I just think it improves everyone's mood.
I think obviously immigration is a massive talking point these days, but I think people don't see how the benefits and the welfare state is such a big part of that, because if all of these people were here and actually working and contributing, then maybe immigration wouldn't be such like a hot topic. You know what I mean?
No, that's it, and I think it's definitely one of the things that's become quite... One of the big issues is obviously we talk about immigration, but you're right, there is different gradations of immigration and how much it benefits us. You're right, there are people who come here, work really hard, pay good taxes, do fantastic, and those are the sort of people you want to encourage.
Exactly,
And then there are other people who come and they don't contribute, and that's the sort of thing that you need to, one, sort out for the benefit just generally of the country, but also to take some of the vitriol out the immigration argument.
Exactly, because that's the sort of family that I come from, where my family come here in like the 70s, and I don't think that's no disrespect to anyone who claims benefits, because sometimes it is necessary. But in my family, it's not really a thing. We've always worked, and that's how I was raised. So I think if you're going to come here, then that's the reason that people should come here.
No, that's it. And to be honest, it's an argument we've heard from a lot of people who either second generation immigrants or they say actually our parents are really angry about the current immigration situation because they came here legally, they worked, they had to work their way up from, admittedly, quite often the very bottom. And they've seen people come in and effectively jump the queue. And I think that from speaking to friends of mine, speaking to people I know, it's made a lot of them considerably more angry than the English people or the natives.
Exactly. That's correct.
Brilliant. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
No matter where I go, London, Paris, Mexico, anywhere on earth, they know me place of birth. I met a girl from London when she sat on Blackpool Pier. She said, could tell, I'm a lad frae Lancashire.